Meeting will come to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the October the 6th, 2025 meeting of the Castle County Board of Commissioners. If you would, join me in a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under item 4, the consent agenda, you all have a copy of previous meetings minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
Mr. Chair, I would kind of like to add something into here. I would kind of like to revisit the steering committee.
All right, that will be, let's move it to item 14A.
Thank you, sir.
All right, under hearing no corrections or additions to the minutes, under the consent agenda, we have tonight's agenda, open session minutes from 9:15, and you see there item C, voluntary ag district ordinance. This has already been changed in the general statutes. We could just go ahead and approve those changes by approving a consent agenda. Do I have a motion? We approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Smith.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Rose. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Announcements and recognitions. I'll start with you, Commissioner Claggett.
I don't have any.
Okay, Commissioner Ingram.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I just would like to recognize being able to attend the Pelham Fire Department grand opening dedication, and it was great to be able to not only attend but see so many other people from the county, because we do know without that service, our community and our citizens of this county would be in bad shape. So I commend them and thank them for the dedication.
Commissioner Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I've got a few that I'd like to recognize. First of all, I'd like to recognize Mr. A.J. Fuqua in our solid waste department, as well as Mr. R.D. Hayes in our maintenance department for all their hard work that they did prior to the Bright Leaf Hoedown. I came by on Friday. I saw them cleaning. They were pruning trees. I know AJ was up here that night helping mark off places for the event. Had a fairly good turnout. Wasn't as good as we would like, but I do appreciate all the hard work they did. Secondly, I would like to recognize our Deputy County Manager, Ms. Williamson, our HR Director, Crystal Stauffer, and our 911 Director, Mr. Kenneth Everett. They put on an employee appreciation back on the October the 2nd. From what I understand, all the condiments and everything that were provided that day were donated. And it was just, I think they did a tremendous job, coordinating it and showing our employees that we do appreciate them and taking little things like that. And just lastly, I'll touch on what Commissioner Ingram did. I had the honor of attending the Pelham Volunteer Fire Department dedication. They have got a beautiful station. They have got something to be proud of, and the citizens of that community have got something to be proud of. And I thank them for all their hard work. Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to recognize long-term citizen Fred Smith for his many, many accomplishments in the county and his service to Caswell County and its veterans. He was the mastermind on the Veterans Wall Memorial. Now his latest venture is to bring in the Charters of Freedom replica to our county.
Commissioner Todd?
I'm good.
All right. Public comments?
Mr. Chair, we have none signed up this evening.
All right, thank you. Whitaker. Moving on down report, Mr. Bowman, Economic Development Update, please, sir. Mash a little button right there. It should be, I don't know if that one's on top, under the bottom.
I'm gonna hold it. Good, thank you. You can hear me now. Okay,
sir.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board members. I'll give you an update here of what's been going on that I've had my hands involved in for the last couple of weeks. Good to see each and every one of you. So a couple of items I wanted to highlight before I get into this was during the time that I introduced myself and we talked about objectives and goals that we wanted to see. Well, some of those were to get out and meet local businesses, meet with the staff, meet with leadership, and that's what I've been doing the last 2 to 3 weeks, aside from doing all the economic development paperwork, going through folders, files, and things like that, bringing those up to date. So I'm happy to report the following are some of the businesses I visited in face-to-face conversation in the past few weeks with the owners. So within the Pelham Industrial Park, I met with NORAG, met the owners out there, Mr. and Mrs. Gidry, talked to them. I've taken some of their concerns to the county manager. It had to do with some financial discrepancies there. So hopefully we can work through those. They have their receipts, we have ours. And so we're putting those together and hopefully we can put those to rest here shortly. Met with McCormick Insulation. Brian Robinson was out there. He's the representative there. I didn't know this, so I'm going to share this with you. Some of you may know, some may not. But the McCormick Insulation, they sell insulation to installers, commercial installers of insulation. So they're not residential type suppliers. They're not doing what Lowe's and Home Depot do. So I didn't know that. So they have no retail business at all, but they are very big into the commercial. Met with Weatherford, Randy Red. At his office recently, and he is, and we had about an hour conversation. He's excited about the opportunity. They're out there grading the site as we speak. I was out there earlier today. Mr. Lynch of Lynch Grading is doing the work, site work out there. The pad is starting to look really good. They're starting with a little delay in the weather last week where we had rain. They're going to start putting the footings in next week. So that will start coming along pretty fast once they get the footings in place there. Also, I talked to him about a groundbreaking ceremony. He's open until about the last week of this month. He'll be out of the country. He'll be traveling in South America. So if you'd like to have a groundbreaking ceremony, I would recommend that we pick a date, time to have that. I'll work with the county manager about that. I know the state wants to be involved in it also. So we'll try to pull all of that together, everything from the shovels to the dirt to the people. I don't know how far you want to go as far as invitations, but we'll probably have to figure that out also. So keep that in mind and think about that. But he's ready to go with a groundbreaking ceremony. I think it's going to be a good event that we'll have. So Lynch Grading, like I said, they're also doing the pad out there. I actually talked to them since they're on site. They already have their equipment on site about the possibility of taking the pad next to where Cherokee is going to be and doing a rough grade on that. So I asked Mr. Lynch to go out there and do a sight line of grade out there and give me a rough estimate of what it cost to go out there and prepare that pad. Because once you've got a nice pad with a nice building in there, you're going to have people out there looking at it. That's going to be an ideal location for somebody to locate in if you've got the site ready to go so they can see it. And I'll just give you, for instance, if you're going to buy a car, you want to test drive that car before you buy it. It's the same thing here. People want to see what they're buying. Excuse me. So I would recommend, if he comes back with a decent price, that we go ahead and consider letting him go out there and do that while he's got his equipment in place. And I'm sure he'll work with us on that. I can't remember, and I have to ask Jason, but I can't remember how many acres we've got right there, but it's about, I guess, 8 or 10. Oh, 5 acres? Okay. So there you go. So working on that. Also have had meetings with following people. Miss Emily Buchanan with PCC. Good to see her tonight. She provided me with a great insight and historical background on the seed project. I won't go into that, but she's a wealth of knowledge. She knows how that's taken place, what's happened over the past few years, and probably the way forward. So I also met with Miss Amanda Hodges and with tourism. She provided me with a plan for tourism strategy and also exploring tourism venues such as the barn tours, agritourism, and the heritage events. So she, again, is a wealth of knowledge in that area. Also met with Mayor Alvin, I won't say Anderson, Alvin Foster. And we spent a nice bit of time with him in his office. Great conversation. If you want to know anything about Yanceyville and you don't know it, ask him. He knows everything about it. He's great. He was wonderful. We talked about the available studio spaces, storage buildings, industrial tracks, including the ownership, usage, lease opportunities. Among the other things we discussed was the infrastructure challenges that are also a problem trying to get business here and expanding, and especially with the water. That's a problem with them. And I told him I'd work with him as much as I could to try to help overcome those obstacles. I attended a Zoom meeting with a marketing company called Golden Shovel. They reached out to us because they're a website developer, and they saw where we need a website done. We need it refreshed. We need it improved. So I told them during the Zoom, we were not ready for it at this time, simply because I didn't know how much money we had in the budget. And besides, we may want to go out and get some other bids on this. But I would recommend in the next budget cycle that we have some money put aside so we can do a website design and refresh so we can bring it pretty much up to date. The website right now is a little cumbersome to use. It's hard to go through it and find certain things. So with the technology out there now, I think we'll be able to upgrade that. Some of the noteworthy items I put in here. So if y'all have traveled 86 right out here, you've seen the Family Dollar stores closed. Y'all seen that? So that just kind of happened out of the blue. So I went in there and tried to get in touch with somebody. I couldn't find anybody at that particular location, but I did find out that the building and land is owned by 2 individuals, not Family Dollar corporate. I also have reached out to a client who's interested in purchasing that building for another business. And I've checked with planning and it's zoned properly. He checked with the Yanceyville also, I guess, Jason, but that should work. The business that I'm working with is a retail business, so it should fit in there very nicely. So hopefully that deal will come through. If everything happens according to the buyer's plan, He should have a business in there sometime around January or February. So that'll be nice to have that business turned back over again. I'll keep you posted on that. Also, I don't know if you knew, but over here off of Fire Tower Road, I think the business is called K&K Machining. That has closed. It's one of those big warehouse buildings over there. I went by there last week and they were loading the last two pieces of equipment, low boys, and they were taking them to another location. I just happened to catch the owner over there. I talked to him, introduced myself. He gave me the reason why. And the problem was for the last 7 or 8 years, he did work for Goodyear in Danville. He built the vulcanizing presses that make the truck tires. He's been doing that for years. Well, when Danville decided to downsize the Goodyear, Danville didn't. When Goodyear decided to downsize the plant, remove the truck tires, that put him out of business. And so he doesn't have anything else to fall back on. So he's closed up shop over there. So that's about a 40,000 square foot building. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is I met with TKT, which is TKT Transmission, which is right next door to him. And I talked to Mr. Ted Keating, who owns that. They are in the process of negotiating to buy that same building now. So he wants to expand his operation. And the real nice thing is the employees that were over at the K&K, Mr. Keating's going to pick up on his payroll. So those folks over there aren't losing a job. They're just changing jobs. And the location is right beside the other building. So I was real happy with that. Timing's everything sometimes, because had we not been able to go out there and interface with them, this would have taken place and nobody would have even known about it. Because I checked. Jason didn't know about it either, did you? So these things just happen. And then we start asking, why? Why does it happen? So the other nice thing is TKT has also met with our high school counselor and the automotive instructor. I can't remember his name, but he's going to work it out. So the high school students there will become interns at TKT. So he's going to talk to them, take them on a tour of the building, see what he does, and see if they're interested in working there. And that way you'll be able to train some of our local students and hopefully keep them on board after they graduate. So it's giving them a good skill set that will make them more marketable, and it will help this business. I visited Royal Textile Mills, could not get anybody there, but I did talk to the owner of that building. We're going to meet next week on site. He's out of town, a lot of things going on, but I'll keep you posted on there. Also, I think I mentioned to a couple of you, I've got all the economic development documents. County Manager Scott has given me a whole big long list, a box of items. So I'm going through those as I have time and updating those. Plan to set up additional meetings with key personnel throughout the county to include leadership in Milton. And if you want me to meet with others, just let me know. And what I'd like to say to the membership right here, my email is kbowman@caswell-county-nc.gov. So send me an email, or I'll give you my personal cell phone number after the meeting. Call me so we can sit down at your leisure, sit down and talk to me about what you'd like to see done in economic development, people you'd like me to talk to, what we would like to go after, and then we can put it all together and have a nice comprehensive plan of how we want to move the county forward here in economic development. So the sooner, the better. Just call me and I'll work with you on your calendars and where we meet. Okay. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. That's what I've got right now.
Mr. Chairman. Yes. Ken, you mentioned that
Yes,
you'll talk to the grading contractor about a building pad. Do you have a size building in mind?
I don't, but on that particular property there, probably a 40,000 square foot building would be nice.
Okay.
And also, Jason, he shared with me there are different lots that are available or could be petitioned off on that. How many acres are we back there? 70 some acres? How many? 58.9 acres left. So in order to market that, which, and again, these are my recommendations because I've done this quite a while. It may be a good idea to go in and grade a road. It doesn't have to be permanent. You can put it in gravel, but to go in there and cut that down. So anybody looking for a lot, they'll be able to drive in there, take a visual look at it. And, you know, that's how you get your clients in there. That's how you get them. But right now, there's no way to get back there to it. So it's sort of, if you don't have a business up on the road, then you can't get to those interior lots. So I'll be glad to work with you on that, and the county manager also.
Any other
Does
questions?
that answer?
Thank you.
Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
sir.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Bowman, you said.
Yes, sir.
TKT is it operating already?
Absolutely.
Where is
Yes.
it located?
It's on Fire Tower Road on the right before
Oh.
you get,
Okay,
oh,
I think I know.
yeah, it's a large building on the right-hand side.
Mhm.
If you've never visited these businesses, I'll be glad to set up a tour for you to go in there. You would be amazed. What they do is sell only to other commercial dealers. They don't sell to the public, but they sell Allison transmissions for these heavy equipment machines, whether they're earth moving or these big trucks that do off-road hauling. They do Allison transmissions, they do repair parts, and they do new. And if you go in there, you'll just be amazed because they're from floor to ceiling with racks of parts and transmissions. Unbelievable. So sometimes it's good just to take an afternoon and go visit some of these folks to see what they've got. I'll be glad to set up the tours for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Bowman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, item 8, closed landfill and elevated PFAS findings. AJ, tell us what you know.
Good afternoon. So most of you in your packets got the letter that the state sent us in September. So I'm just going to give you a brief introduction about the letter and the information. So let's see, what is PFAS? It's a man-made chemical, often called a forever chemical. It's found in the water, soil, food, and even on your clothing. So a little bit of background about the state and PFAS. Back in 2022, all counties were required to do a receptor survey and submit a plan to the state for the PFAS, which included us with a half-a-mile radius of the landfill property, recording all wells. SM&E submitted this work plan to the state. We provided all the information to SM&E to cut down on the cost. In fall of 23 and spring of 24, the state required us to take PFAS samples from all 11 of our wells and 3 surface water locations. The PFAS is a very time-consuming process. The samples has to be done carefully to avoid any cross-contamination, because like I said, it's on your clothes. We are high on the levels. Every landfill in the state, to my understanding, but one is high. What the state did is divided us in 3 categories. The first 25 landfills got their letter. They were higher and more dangerous. They got their letters in early spring of this year. 50 more landfills got their letter in September. So there's about 75 landfills in the state of North Carolina that is working this same plan that I presented in your packet. So what have we done so far? We had a face-to-face meeting with SM&E. They're our geologist, environmental company that takes care, helps assists us with the closed landfill. We met with them, come up with a plan, and we're presenting it to you. What's next is we're waiting on the proposal from SM&E to write our receptor survey. And with this survey, we'll have to gather a lot of information. I've agreed with some assistance from some other departments to provide most of the information to them, and then they will gather it all and put it into a packet and we'll submit it to the state. If we provide this information, it will cut costs tremendously. And we'll also be required to do a work plan. In this work plan, what to expect is we'll have to negotiate SM&E on our behalf with me included. We will talk to the state and the state will agree on our work plan. Work plan will mostly consist of installing 3 to 5 additional wells on landfill property. Most of these wells will go to the outskirts of the property line where we can test PFAS and other materials to prove that we don't have contamination at this point, that all contamination remains on county property. Just a little bit brief on the landfill. We have a total of 11 wells out there that are tested for groundwater, and we do 3 surface water locations. As you can see in the map, there's all of our monitoring wells. Within the last few years, 5 additional wells have been put in, 5D, 8, 7, 9, and 10. And all those wells, we assisted them with the roads and whatever we could do to help cut costs when we were putting them in. So what to expect next is we're waiting on the proposals from SM&E of how much it will cost to do the factor survey plan and the work plan. And then we'll have to get approval from the state for our work plan. Then we'll have to carry our work plan out. From talking to the geologists from SM&E, it looks like most of the work from the work plans and stuff will not start until next budget year. If it has to start before then we'll have to come up with a way to financially pay for it. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. If it's something I don't know, I can write it down and get to the geologist and we can get you the answer back. If you want him to come and get in depth of all the readings and stuff at another meeting or do a work session, he's happy to come.
Mr. Chairman, this PFAS, is that something they're just checking for recently? Is that something they've always checked for? And why is it, was it state now?
Say the last part of your
Why are we seeing it throughout the state?
So in late 22 is when they started this. And from what I can gather from the geologist that manages landfills all over the state, is a lot of the closed landfills are at their 30-year mark where you would close them out and do no more monitoring. So the state decided they wanted to check for PFAS. And 22 is when it all come about. And we didn't sample till 23 and 24, spring and fall. And after that, they told us we didn't have to sample no more. We didn't hear anything else about it until we got the letter.
I'll add, you've probably been hearing about these forever chemicals over the last few years. That term, this PFAS is a category of forever chemicals, and kind of big picture. Our landfill closed in the mid-90s, and we're right at that 30-year mark where we should be getting to stop all of the monitoring, but really the state is rethinking that as they've been finding these PFAS chemicals across the state and across the country. As they're finding more of them, they're rethinking how much monitoring needs to be done. And so just really for the public's benefit, this part here is the capped, what got capped back in the mid-90s. And as AJ was pointing out, we have, different monitoring wells around that to monitor particularly the groundwater. And what AJ is describing is, while we have these surrounding monitoring wells, it's just going to take more. They're just, because of the levels they found, it's going to take digging. We don't have a number yet. They've suggested maybe in the 3 to 5 well range. And as far as timing, as he said, the work plan is going to take a while to get through. So as far as actually digging the wells, it may be very late in this budget year, next spring, or even into the next budget before we're actually digging that. And one other thing that he does such a great job on the solid waste end is always facilitating whatever work we have to do out there. So part of what is expected to be needed, and I'll just give you an example. If we have to do a well here, solid waste is going to have to figure out a way to get a road into these areas that they identify. And they identify these wells, the environmental engineers, based on where they think largely that water is running underground and where it's traveling the most. So it's not a matter of just putting wells at even intervals around our existing monitoring wells. It's very much a process of them determining where's the likely best places to test for it.
So I will say over the last 6 to 7 years, 5 additional wells because of our high levels of metals have been put in. So we've added 5 wells. So this would be 3 to 5 additional.
Now, the work plan, are we doing anything about the problem, or are we just digging more wells?
So that's what the work plan will identify. If you can identify, from what I understand from the letter and talking to the geologist, if you can identify that you only have contamination on your property, you're good. But if we say dig 2 wells and they're 50 foot from the property line and they read abnormal readings, then we're going to have to back up and do another work plan and possibly go out past our property line and put wells. And then we would have to do a corrective action. But in the work plan, we would have a corrective action that the SM&E would write out. And just so you know where he was pointing at, that's the cap of the closed landfill. But there is other, if y'all, some of you may remember going to other places on the property disposing your trash. That is the only area that is regulated by the state. That is the only permitted area. The other ones were pre-88, so they're not regulated.
Challenge of this is these PFAS chemicals are all traveling underground through the water supply, through cracks, fractures in the rock. So it's very much a scientific process of them trying to best estimate where and based on the pressure zones underground where these PFAS chemicals are likely traveling, more in abundance. So that's kind of the science of why we have these environmental engineers to help determine the exact locations of where to dig wells.
So I spoke to the environmentalists today, and I have a chart. And PFAS is made up of several, about 15 different chemicals. And there's 3 chemicals that is in high levels in every well but one on the property. And as well, now the groundwater, we take 3 groundwater samples. There's no high levels in any of our surface water samples. They are normal. So we have a creek that runs through, they take surface water samples from 3 places off of that creek.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
AJ, did you, and correct me if I'm wrong on what I heard, you said that if you dig this well and you can show that your contamination is only on your property, you don't have to do what?
A corrective action plan.
Okay.
So that's what we've had to do in the past
Right.
is we had to add a well one time because we had high metals, but when we added the new well, it was not high metals in that well.
All right, you said if you dug the well and it was showing contamination, then you would back up, come up with another corrective plan, go out further. Why wouldn't you just go to the property line initially and dig it?
From my conversation with the environmentalists, we're going as close as we can get to the property lines. So I guess my statement would be if they were high levels, then we would have to come back, come up with a plan, talk to property owners and see if we could put a well on their property.
Because, I mean, I guess my thing would be is go as far as we could go to begin with. Because if we don't, and we just start digging a well and then go 50 more foot out, we could run into a lot. The second question I had was, these wells are not residential type wells. What are these wells running? The last one you did, what would that thing run to have it dug?
That's one thing I didn't write down in my notes, but don't hold me to these numbers. I think the last time we put in 3, it was close to $60,000.
My guess would have been about 25 away. So,
That's probably about right now. And that included us doing the road. We were there with them, helping them move their equipment in and out, bags of concrete and pipe. We helped them to cut the labor cost and the setup costs. We cut all that out because we were there.
All right, so if you dug that well as close good to that property line and it showed that there was no contamination at that well, at that property line, what do you do at that point in time?
We just keep monitoring that well.
Okay,
It's my understanding.
all right. Did they tell you how long this period, does this thing roll over for another 30 years?
The state hasn't made a determination on that yet.
I don't think they know yet because when they started discovering more of these problems with PFAS, I think they're rethinking this monitoring period because we're in a group in this phase 2 of 70 some other closed landfills that's being monitored across the state. And I think they're kind of figuring it out as they go.
So just for example, somewhere up near 86 where the corner is around the property line. Our plan is to put a well right in there. And myself and the geologist, we will have to go out and walk the property. He will have a general area, like a certain like sides of this room, and then we will pick the best spot that we can get in and out of. And then my understanding is we're gonna put one near the pipeline and then 2 in the back.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, AJ, just so I understand, can you treat the water supply through the monitoring wells with chemicals? Is that is that part of the work plan?
I would have to ask the geologist. I don't know a definite answer and I don't want to answer the wrong answer, but I can find out and let you know.
Any other questions? All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if you want, later on, if we want to set a work session about this, I'll get the geologist to come or we can have him come present. Or we could continue like you're doing and I'll be happy to update you as we go along the process.
Mr. Chairman, one last question. When you dig these wells, is there a certain company that has to do them or does this put out for bid?
So in the past, SM&E bids it out and they send us a complete package with everything they're gonna do because it's not the same truck that drills your household well doesn't drill these. These are on tracks and they're smaller wells. So they have several companies they use.
Thank you.
I'll thank for the time being, Mr. Fuqua, if you could just keep us updated. I don't think it'd be necessary to bring the geologist in at this time.
Okay, if any of you think of any questions, give me a call, shoot me an email, and I'll get the answer, and I'll have that answer for you in a couple of days, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Fuqua. All right,
Thank you, sir.
item 9, budget amendment number 9, Mr. Whitaker.
So this is a budget amendment for social services related to emergency placement funding for foster care. And it's in the amount of $10,532 that was received. And all of these budget amendments we're going over are on the plus side. So hopefully that'll make you feel more positive about it. And so be glad to answer any questions.
So all of these, this is not money that is coming out of the general fund. This is money that is coming in.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
So this first one is, again, for the amount of $10,532 for social services.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Scott, it says emergency placement funding. Is that to say that they're at capacity now? They needed more funding because they have more people than they can house?
I'm not sure if that's exactly the situation. I'll ask Ms. Williamson if she happens to know that.
I do know just from speaking with Michelle Waddell, not necessarily budget amendment, but of course you all are aware that they've been having a lot of trouble with the placement. So I don't know if this is maybe some additional funding that the state has seen where many counties in the state are struggling with where to put, these kids when they get them in their care. So I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that maybe this is something that is being awarded to probably many counties in North Carolina.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Rose,
Second.
second from Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Mr. Whitaker, item 10, budget amendment number 10.
And this next one is for public health. This is an additional allocation of $775,089.57. And this also went before the Public Health Board recently, and you have a breakdown of all of that on the next page. And that shows the total from 3.1 million to 3.9 million with this addition. And this justification breaks down this amount further. And a big part of that is what's reimbursed by Medicaid, and it's in reference to, you see this last part, 22 Caswell beneficiaries qualify for this benefit, and it's reimbursed through Medicaid. But that is for a variety of uses that was voted on and approved by the Public Health Board.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Scott, was this money anticipated when they made the budget? Did they think they were going to get these funds, or this money just fall in his lap?
My understanding that it was not anticipated, at least not to this degree.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to approve the budget amendment number 10.
Motion from Commissioner Smith to approve. Have a second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Ingram. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Item 11, budget amendment number 11.
Last one relates to family services. This is related to a grant from 2024 for the NC Council for Women and Youth Family Violence Prevention and Service Act. And this was part of the American Rescue Plan. So these are ARPA funds. So during 25, the county received an additional allocation in the amount of $62,000. And that grant period ends at the end of this year. Appropriations needed in the amount of $22,750, which represents the unspent funds as of June 30th.
Any questions? Have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve budget amendment number 11.
Motion from Commissioner Ingram. Have a second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Totten. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Item 12, the seeds, site fence and grading. Mr. Whitaker.
So a little backdrop on this item. Back in earlier this summer, there was an amount of roughly $100,000 from the Firebird Cherokee property sale. And there was interest in setting aside an Economic Development Capital Reserve Fund. And we had some discussion about that. And ultimately, the decision was just to commit those funds instead of setting aside or setting up a separate capital reserve fund. And so the idea behind that was that money was set aside, and the board would still have authority to designate where all of those funds go to in separate actions after that. And so almost immediately after that was passed, there was the utility road access that needed to be built out at Pelham. And that was going to be roughly 26,000. That came in a little less than that. But so that was the first and only thing out of that 100,000 that has been been designated and taken from that original 100,000. So you had said at the time you wanted to use these funds for economic development activities as you see fit. And fast forward, Piedmont Community College learned of these funds and submitted a request for largely what's left there of those funds for site fence and grading for the seed site in that project. And I do know that new PCC president, Dr. Kevin Lee, is here this evening. And if there's any questions about that, but what they presented for your consideration specifically for these funds is in your packet. So there's a cover letter. I've got it on screen there too that kind of explains the need and talks to the request itself. And then they included a proposal with a couple of different options. And without getting into too much detail of that, one of those options came up to what you see on screen, 76,372. The second option, 71,692. And there's a breakdown there of what those different options entail. But I think the gist of this request is that as this project gets closer to the start of construction, there's a need for some security out there, and they explain that well, I think, in their cover letter for the project. And be glad to answer any questions about what you have in the packet or the request, or I guess more specifically, Dr. Lee would be better equipped to answer those questions.
Questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Scott and Dr. Lee, typically what I'm accustomed to seeing when you bid a project is that the architect or engineer will designate a layout area, and the contractor is to include that fencing and layout area in stone in his bid. Is that not the case here?
Can you ask that one more time? I'm not sure I understood what you're asking.
Yeah, typically, when you bid a project of that size, the architect will lay out on the plans, the site plan, a laydown area and fencing for the stored materials with a stone base. Is that something that got overlooked in the bidding process, or where do we stand?
So, and let me know if I don't answer your question. I think I can answer it in two parts. So this would be what the state construction office would consider to be work done by owner. So separate from what we're having done by Array Architects and Bordeaux Construction. This would be separate before the work that they're going to do actually starts out there. Because we're having activity already happening. We have the community raised beds, and some of the agribusiness students are already doing work, and we don't have any way to keep a tractor, a tiller, any farm inputs out there and keep them secured. So we wanted to go ahead and do that even before the construction starts on this part. The company, Old Oak Enterprises, that we got to give us a quote so we would know how much money we needed to ask for and budget, did give us what you're talking about, images of where he scoped out. And he did that in conjunction with the architect we have for the bigger project to make sure it wouldn't interfere.
Okay.
Does that answer? your
Yes, ma'am.
question? Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. Clay.
I have a few questions and comments. Why wasn't PCC on the agenda until now? If we got a letter, I believe it's dated the 12th of August. Why weren't they on the agenda the 2nd or 15th of September?
The chair made the decision to not include them until tonight. That's about the only answer I can give you.
I mean, wouldn't you think a request by Piedmont Community College is legitimate? and in the public interest. It's twice, 2 agendas. A mistake is, the difference between a mistake and corruption is intent. And a mistake is an unintentional error, while corruption is a deliberate and dishonest act done for personal or unlawful gain. Gentlemen, it's obvious. The second agenda omission reeks of intent. That's all I have.
Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
how many quotes did y'all get for this?
How many quotes?
Mhm.
One quote, so that we would have an idea, a ballpark figure of what we would need. Once we get the funds, because it's more than $30,000, it would have to go out for bid. But we do keep a few companies like that work with us regularly to help give us quotes when we're in planning phases.
And this, I guess initially wasn't even looked at needing this. I mean, this type project wasn't looked at as far as needing prior to this point.
So we didn't anticipate the delays in the state construction part that we're facing right now, which have really happened since COVID. So we've had a lot of lag, not on our fault at all, but because of just the whole process of having to go through their procedures. And so while the community is having to wait and wait and wait for it to be built, we're having activity out there that we don't want to keep people waiting. So this is something that we figured out could be done on while we're waiting for the state construction process to begin.
And one other thing I did pick up on when you were talking about figures and all, you said in budget. Why wouldn't it ask for it budget time?
I can only speak, as the president of the last 2 months, I can only say that, I'm not sure why that would be not be something that was brought up at that time. I know that that's typically the practice that I'm used to as well. That's the best answer I can give you, sir.
Thank you.
The only thing I would add is typically because seed is new to us and we haven't really started with what we would need with operating costs yet, we typically have historically only put requests in for the Yanceyville campuses. That's what we've been used to doing.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
to be honest with you, I think PCC has been misled regarding the intended use of these funds. A little history back when we started talking about the seed project, I think the county donated 78 acres to PCC, so we fully support PCC in this effort. But we're competing for funds here. I think Ken Bowman is wanting to take some funds such as that to build a pad. And currently, the biggest need we have in Caswell County is economic development. So we've got to get our revenues from property taxes up through economic development. As of right now, 100 counties in the state, we have the lowest percent of property taxes being paid by industry. It's been bought, but the residents are having to pay it. So if we can increase the industrial portion, then we decrease the residential portion.
Did I understand you correctly in that PCC would be waiting until the funds were approved before they put the project out? So you would know an actual cost. I know you have these 2 quotes from Old Oak Enterprises, but you will be waiting until the board, if the board were to approve it, then you would put the project out for bid. Am I correct?
That's correct.
So you just got these quotes to kind of get a general idea of what it may cost.
That's correct.
Any other questions? If not, Mr. Manager, I believe that this will be rolled into an action item at our October, 20th meeting. Am I thinking, get the date correct? Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Item 13, Board of Commissioners Rules of Procedure. Mr. Whitaker.
So this item was put on the agenda at Commissioner Claggett's request. Just to remind you, at the last meeting, the rules of procedure were approved, considerable changes to that. So what you have in your packet are the 2 pages that relate to specifically to the agenda or how the agenda is formed. And you see that at the bottom of the first page there and the top of the next. So perhaps it's best just to recognize Commissioner Claggett to see what your concerns were.
There's nothing in our rules of procedure that outlines the process for allowing or disallowing items to be placed on the public agenda. Shouldn't that be addressed, and shouldn't that process be in compliance with examples provided in Section 2 of our Code of Ethics, which are: 1, be unaffected by improper influence while at the same time be open to consideration of the opinions of others, and 2, board members should make decisions based on public good and not their desires or considerations of special interest. May I suggest that the rules of procedure contain an agenda-setting process which contains that once a draft agenda is compiled, that the draft agenda is sent to the entire board for input before the formal vote on the agenda. I'm recommending the following. In delegation of tasks, the board may delegate the primary responsibility for developing the draft agenda to a specific individual or group, such as the clerk or manager. Solicitation of input. A formal process is put in place to allow staff and board members to submit potential topics and issues for discussion. Draft agenda development. The designated individual or committee complies with the submitted items into a draft agenda. Number 4, review and revision. The draft agenda is shared with all board members for review, providing an opportunity to request changes or suggest additions. 5, final approval. At the beginning of the board meeting, the proposed agenda is presented for formal vote of approval by the board. I fully understand you don't want a quorum at the agenda setting, but I fully understand that the entire board are the policy-making people for the public. That's all I have. Thanks.
Are you bringing that as a motion?
So moved.
All right. You've heard Mr. Claggett's concerns and his motion. Do I have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. I will just reiterate that this board, each member can request, as it says there in Rule 9, Item A, have business placed on the agenda. And as it was, I believe, I made note of it and the county manager affirmed it when we approved these rules of procedure, that if there is an item that is not on the agenda that a member would like to have on the agenda, they have that opportunity to amend the agenda at the beginning of every meeting.
You have to have knowledge before you can do that.
Knowledge of,
What wasn't on the agenda.
there could be 1,000 things not on the agenda. But I get what you're saying, but your motion dies for lack of a second. All right, item 14, Castle County Schools Procurement Process and Resolution. Mr. Whitaker?
So at the last meeting, we talked about a process by which the school system would request payment for the projects, the capital projects specifically, among other items that really all of this goes back to the budget discussions before budget adoption with this board's concern that those projects at the school system get done this budget year, and their concern that they can get started on it. There's a process that needed to be described, and what you saw at the last meeting, and I'll put it up on the screen, was this memo that outlaid or laid out a process for authorization, project management, invoice submission, payment processing, specified the time and the reporting of that. And at the last meeting, the board was agreeable to this process. So your action was to direct the county attorney to draft a resolution that memorializes what you have here. And so that is the item that you have in your agenda before you from our attorney. And I'll be glad to answer any questions, or our attorney will rather.
All right, gentlemen, you see the proposed resolution. Should have had a chance to look over it. Any questions for either the manager or the county attorney?
And I will say that I spoke with the school superintendent this afternoon, and they are eager to get started on these capital projects. I told him if it did pass this evening, they could start that process.
Hearing no questions, do I have a motion to be approved?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to adopt a presented resolution that memorializes the procedures concerning the school capital reserve fund and capital outlay.
I have a motion from Commissioner Rose. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Cotton. All right, okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-1. All right, added item of 14A, the steering committee. I'll refer to Commissioner Ingram.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I just want to revisit our meeting that we had on September 15th in regard to our steering committee, and where we had 19 people or 19 committee members that was actually selected to be on there, and there were 2 commissioners. However, you asked that, did we have any volunteers as commissioners? And at that time, we had 3 people, 3 of our commissioners that decided they would take on that task. And like I said, I'm grateful for that part of it. But as I was looking through and I saw the committee members, however, one of our commissioners' spouse is on this same committee. I'm pretty sure that there's nothing against the law, but I'm just trying to figure out, are we as a board trying to continue to move ourselves forward and have to be transparent in what we're trying to get done? And like I said, either way or the other is fine. I just wanted to bring that to the attention. I didn't know if anybody else may have noticed that. And I actually, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just getting back to our
Um,
last meeting minutes.
Yes, sir. And I actually spoken with Commissioner Claggett myself in reference to this. So it's nothing that, I'm trying to hide. I just want to know, is this the way that we as a board and we as a county are trying to move? And if it's not a problem with anybody, then like I said, I'm fine either way. Thank you.
And I do have that slate up on the screen, so that was in from the last packet prior to the appointment of the 3 commissioners.
And maybe it was an oversight on my part. I'll take responsibility for it. When we were talking about, who the 2 commissioners be, and we had 3 to volunteer, and I remember making a comment that, if somebody's volunteered, I don't want to turn them down if they volunteered to serve on any committee, more or less. Well, yeah, this is a sticky subject. We don't have a policy, or do we? I don't know of one.
Not specifically about that. I think most folks would characterize that as a nepotism policy of some sort. But as far as that for this particular committee or within the CAB policy, the Citizen Advisory Board policy, I don't believe there's anything in there related to that. Glad to pull it up and take a look if you like.
I don't ever recall seeing anything about it, but you feel free to look it up.
Mr. Chair, maybe the county planner could address the possibility of any problems. He's in attendance this evening.
Wally?
I don't know of any guidelines, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
That to do with that committee. I did choose 2 because our prior 2014 document, comprehensive plan, had 2 commissioners on it.
You finding anything, Mr. Wood?
Not
Still looking.
Still looking, not seeing anything. Everybody can help me look as I scroll through on the screen. I was searching for nepotism or family members, just family, did not see anything.
I don't recall seeing anything that addresses it in the past. And unless either one of those members wants to step aside, I guess we'll leave it as is. But I would like to see us, institute or have some kind of policy in the future that addresses this issue. Mr. Attorney, if you could come up with something for us.
Yes, sir. I'll be glad to.
So I've seen this with other similar policies. So at the end of the day, it's a question of when it comes to family members, defining immediate family is often a parameter done in these policies. And kind of the backdrop of that for your decision-making is sometimes there are a limited number of volunteers in a community that are going to be involved with their local government. So you kind of have to weigh that on the potential conflicts or at least perceived conflicts of having immediate family members, however you define that, in place. So we would probably need a little direction of what you want exactly for that. But the starting point, I think, is probably defining immediate family members and what you want to do with that.
If, when you start working on this, Russell, you could just get us a definition of what most groups interpret as immediate family. In my mind, it's husband, wife, and children, but, or maybe parents. I don't know. You know, I've been in organizations before where immediate family gets really big sometimes. And I think we need to confine it as much as possible.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, and I did not realize this would be on the agenda tonight, or I would have had more of a prepared response, but
No,
I
that's
do,
fine.
know we have state general statutes that, cover this type of area. And we'll be glad to draft a policy addressing this. And if we find out any additional information in our research of any existing county policies, then we can refer that and bring that to the board's attention.
Okay, all right. Thank you all. All right, moving on down, appointments and reappointments. Mr. Whitaker, item 15, the planning board.
So recently, there was a planning board applicant, and as we kind of discussed, this newer realization that there was actually a opening on the planning board. Your directive was for that to be advertised, that there was a opening on the planning board, and that was so advertised on our county website. And what we're doing this evening is revisiting that, because we have one position and we have that original applicant, Daryl Freeland, and we also have a new applicant, Brian Singleton, for that position. And you have the planning board roster. Also, I included what's in the UDO, which is probably more important than the Citizen Advisory Board policy in this instance. And you have each of their applications before you. And as always, these appointments are at the board's discretion.
All right, we have one opening on the planning board and 2 people have applied. What is the pleasure of the Board of Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
in the past, having been involved with the planning board, there have been times that it wasn't publicly advertised. Now, what I see in this current situation, both applicants appear to be qualified. One application stricken from the agenda on August 18th and hasn't reappeared until this evening with an additional applicant. It seems like more agenda preference manipulation. My vote is for the first applicant from August, Mr. Freeland.
All right, I tell you what. Mr. Attorney, would it be proper if we just asked each member of the board, or do we need a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend opening the floor for nominations.
Okay.
And
right.
then the board can proceed on voting on those nominations.
Very good, very good. All right, Floor is now open for nominations then. Mr. Claggett, you nominating Mr. Freeland?
Yes.
All right. Any other nominations?
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Ryan Singleton.
All right, both applicants have been nominated. Freeland and Mr. Singleton. The way to go about doing this is I'll ask for all in favor of each one, and whoever gets the most votes.
Yes, sir. And we'll need a motion to close the floor for
All right,
nominations.
have a motion to close nominations?
Motion to close.
Motion to close. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of closing nominations, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nominations are now closed. All those in favor of appointing Darrell Freeland to the planning board, let it be known by raising your right hand. All those in favor of appointing Brian Singleton to the planning board, let it be known by raising your right hand. Mr. Singleton will be appointed to the Castle County Planning Board. ABC Board, we have one position, 2 applicants. Anything you need to say about either one of these, Mr. Whitaker?
You have the advisory board in policy there in front of you. And I think it would be helpful just to explain how we got to 5 members. If you noticed on the roster, I talked with the chair recently trying to understand because this board was supposed to have 3 members on it. And my understanding was that there was a mistake made in the past and a candidate was brought or an applicant was brought forward to the board. And that was Mr. Keith Tatum. He was appointed. And then there were 4 members and there was some thinking maybe externally with the ABC board, I'm not clear, that they really should have an odd number. So instead of backtracking, another member was appointed. So while it was originally supposed to be a 3-member board, it's now a 5-member board. And what you have is one of these applicants, Mr. John Crispin, his term is just expired and he would like to be reappointed, but you also have a new applicant that came in just before that time period, Mr. Randy Poole. So that's how you ended up with two applicants for this one position.
Right, floor is open for nominations.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to reappoint John Crispin to the ABC Board.
Any other nominations?
I nominate Cynthia Claiborne.
We only one above that, Mr. Clay.
What's that?
We on the ABC board, not the
Oh,
library
you're right.
board.
You're right. I nominate Randy Poole.
All right. Have a motion, nominations be closed.
So move.
Have a second.
Second.
All those in favor of closing nominations, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nominations are now closed. All those in favor of John Crispin for the ABC board, let it be known by raising your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mr. Poole, all those in favor? Like Mr. Crispin will be reappointed to the ABC board. Library board, we only have one person, Cynthia Claiborne. Do I guess we can do this as a motion or a nomination?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Motion or
Yes, sir.
nomination? Okay, do
A
I have a
motion.
motion? We appoint Cynthia Claiborne to the library board.
So moved.
Have a motion from Commissioner Ingram,
Second.
second from Commissioner Claggett. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, jury commission, we have one. Ms. Ethel Gwynn, do I have a motion to appoint Ms. Ethel Gwynn to the jury commission?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Claggett,
Second.
second from Commissioner Ingram, Commissioner Rose. Commissioner Rose, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, reports and updates. Mr. Whitaker.
Happy to have attended my first Bright Leaf Hoedown. Glad to do that. You each mentioned some of the other items on my list, our employee appreciation event and the fire department dedication in Pelham. Appreciate the opportunity to go out to that. So just to update with our Department of Labor OSHA report, again, still do not have that in yet in reference to our enterprise vehicle leases, the ambulance remount, and the UHF financing. We have determined that local government commission meeting that I've been talking about so long is not scheduled until January the 6th. And there are going to be several steps to that financing with resolutions and steps to get to that point through Davenport, our financial consultants. And I'll be bringing you several items for the month of November and December for decisions on that. And one item for you to be thinking about, would like to revisit something we talked about back during the budget workshops, and that was some regular interaction and meetings with the school board. And the superintendent called me today asking me for some possible dates that we might could have simple meeting sometime in the near future. A date I would like for you to think about would be December the 8th. That's one date. Another is November the 10th. School may have a conflict with that, but just a couple of dates for you to give me some feedback if those might work. And one other very important last item, offer has been made and accepted for our finance officer position. And would love to tell you more about that, but don't want to announce the name until we're past the notices and the HR steps. But again, that has been accepted, and we're excited about getting closer on that important position. And that's all I have this evening.
All right, Mr. Johnston.
Okay, Mr. Manager, you said November the 10th and December the what?
December the 8th. Both of those are Mondays.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. In reference to the Caswell County Delinquent Tax Collection program, I had mentioned to the board last month in the case of Caswell County versus Kenneth Francis Fee that we had planned to sell that property later this month, but I just wanted to report to the board that the taxes were paid in full last week. So we will not be moving to sale, and we will be filing a voluntary dismissal in reference to this civil action. And I'll have more updates for you in the closed session.
All right, Commissioner, questions or comments? I'll start with you, Mr. Totten.
I have nothing.
All right, Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. Mr. Whitaker, I need your help in that I'm still receiving a number of calls and having a conversation with concerned citizens regarding the $55 availability fee that's charged to all households in the county for the landfill, closing landfill, monitoring landfill. So we need to get the word out, continue to get the word out somehow by paper, website, whatever, explaining our position on the $55, because most of the people that are calling me are the people that are having trash pickup, and they feel like this $55 is relating to additional charges that they shouldn't have to pay. So if we can talk to them, we can explain it to them. A whole lot of times they won't let us explain. But I would like to continue to get the word out as to what that $55 represents.
All right, Commissioner Rose.
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Ingram.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. On October 27th this year, we will be actually having the Caswell County Candy Trail. And this, I'm thinking is sponsored by our library. And actually, you can pick your maps up from the library in reference to around the town as the children and parents actually get candy. And that time is from 2:30 PM to 5 PM. That's all I have, sir.
Mr. Claggett?
I have nothing.
One thing, I've had some citizens ask me to ask the DOT about some type of turn lane on Fire Tower Road for Oakwood School. They talk like traffic there in the morning and then pick up in the afternoon is terrible. And that's putting it lightly, according to those folks.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Alvin Foster and I met with the DOT officials in Greensboro a couple of months ago. That was one of the biggest items we talked about. We made them aware of the problem, that there's a potential for accidents there. And they acknowledged that there's a problem there, and they would take a look at it, and hopefully we can get something done about that.
So DOT is aware.
They're aware of that.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
good, good. Thank you.
Just so I'm clear, which end of fire are you talking about?
Let's see, that's a credit union right there. You go on up to Oakwood Elementary, follow it on north right there on your map. Go on up, go on up. Keep on going. All right, you've got the driveway going into Oakwood right there.
That stone there you see, and that white is stone. Keep on going up. Yep, right there.
Right there till you go up a little bit to your right.
All right,
That's your drive. Yes, sir.
I need to speak, Mr. Chair. County Manager, if you'll go back just a little bit, I can actually show you that parking right there at the mall Gatewood right there is actually where these cars actually legitimately are parking. And if you notice the light colored off the side of the shoulder of the highway, that's actually where the cars are parking, and they're all the way up into the entrance of the school. So that's where the problem is coming in as far as the traffic when you're traveling at, I'm gonna say north that way.
Yeah, the real problem you've got is you've got some stone placed there, but you've got a good sized SUV parked in the stone, and it's actually hanging into the road somewhat. So if you've got a car passing the line and then another one coming, then there've been a number of near accidents.
Yes, that's it.
You could impress upon DOT that, you know, this is something that they need to seriously look at.
Has that gravel lane long been there?
I'd say it's been there a couple of years, but it needs additional stone. It actually needs to be widened or asphalt put in that area, because it's not sufficient to handle a wide vehicle.
I think it would, the best solution would be if it's asphalt and a turn lane put right there.
Yes, sir.
Going into Oakwood. But like I say, I've had some citizens bring it to my attention and I wanted to make it public tonight.
So a turn lane here?
Yep. Oh, and on back down, coming on back south
Yeah,
right there.
it's gonna have to go on up
It's
past.
gonna have to be a pretty long turn lane.
Yeah.
From about right there where your icon is, I guess, whatever you call that thing.
Would anybody like to meet with me out there if I can get a meeting with DOT? That's more familiar with how that flows.
I'd be pleased to do so.
Okay.
All right. Announcements and upcoming events. Columbus Day on the 13th. The 20th will be our next regularly scheduled meeting here at 6:30 PM. The 21st of this month, Board of Adjustment meeting at 2 PM. 28th, Planning Board meeting at 1 PM, and Halloween, of course, will be on the 31st. Closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 subsection A3. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
So move.
Motion from Commissioner Rose,
Second.
second from Commissioner Ingram. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We now set in closed session.